Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon,
Happy
Salini.
New
Hi.
Year.
Thank you. Same to you and for
Mr.
all the
Lingesh
women
has
who's
stayed
listening.
until November 19th. I'll wish you that. So, welcome everyone to HEN's International Women's Day Symposium 2021. And today's topic is very close to my heart because it's talking about women in the workforce. And we are talking about the theme centering at taking charge. So, take charge is our theme for today. And I'm very thrilled that I have this stellar lineup of speakers with us today. I am like very excited and I want to try my best to squeeze out all the insights from these amazing people here today. So I'm Shalini Ganesan. I'm a trainer. I'm a talent development director at Aspire Learning Academy, as well as I'm the founder and president of an NGO for women. It's known as Wild Malaysia, Young Women in Leadership and Development Malaysia. So I'll be the moderator for this particular session today. And to those who are watching this, ladies, and I hope gentlemen are also watching this, please, this is your golden opportunity. This is your chance. This is your space. Please ask as many questions as you want pertaining to the women in workforce because we all know the challenges we are in. It's like a hot seat that all of us are in, especially post-pandemic. So we want to be able to grasp as many information from our speakers. And here with us, I'm very excited to say that we have amazing speakers here. I'm excited to introduce you to them. So just before that, in this session, we have this ultimate goal, especially for all these women at grassroots level. What you have to do is to know your authentic self, to know what your passions are, to take charge right after watching this session. We want you to just pick yourself up from wherever you are and dive right into life with all the insights that you're going to get from this session. So, we are good to start. So, we have our speakers here, and we have, first of all, our Miss Khushbu Nangalia. Khushbu, hi. Hi,
Hi.
Khush.
I think, Shalini, that was a wonderful start. I'm excited to see people how they are going to dive into everything that we are going to share. And there's
It's all about the
so much
fire.
excitement, guys. I'm all pumped up for the topic.
Yes. So Ms. Khushbu, she's the founder and CEO of Beyond 99, and she's an award-winning entrepreneur, and she's a storytelling coach. And it's like watching her portfolio was like binge watching Netflix for me. It was like back to back. I was just seeing she's like a rock star. And she's also one of the 100 most influential global youth marketing professionals. It's like, wow. And we want to talk to her about all about entrepreneurship and how women can take charge of their lives. And we have here Anandi Murugesu. She's the general manager of Marcus Evans, and she specializes
Hi.
in human capital development.
Yes, I do. Hi, everybody. I'm
Yes.
so excited to be with the panel today. And I think that, like, I agree with Kushbu and Salini, when you started the whole session, I feel pumped up. I want to take charge. I'm like, come on, let's do it. So I'm very glad to be here with everyone talking in this topic that's very close to my heart, women in workforce. Being a woman in workforce for more than 16 years now, I can't wait to dive into the session with the rest of the panelists. Happy listening.
Yeah. Yeah, great start that was. So I think Miss Anandi, she always keeps this nurturing young talents, young women as the heart of her service. So we really want to know a lot from her. So stay tuned. And we have here our gentleman, Mr. Lingesh Lachmanan, who is the head of marketing Shell Oman, who's retail specialist with 18 years of experience in oil and gas and FMCG industry. And I must say, I'm not going to thank you, but I'm going to salute you for empowering women at workplace, and he has actually created women leaders back at the place where he works. And I think we need more men like you. And I really want to take a moment to thank the powerful duo Vatsala and Rosalind who have actually put this whole summit together. Because especially for this topic, women in the workforce, I was very impressed when I saw Mr. Lingesh's name here because we are talking about inclusivity, inclusion, and what if we don't have a man on board with us, right? So I'm sure Mr. Lingesh has a lot to tell, a lot to share with us today. So without further ado, we are talking about women in the workforce. I want to give a picture. Okay, let's picture this together. All of you who are listening, let's picture this. I'm holding a binocular. So just imagine you are also holding a binocular here. And when I see this, women in the workforce, there's this one side where I see women in the workforce thriving to climb the corporate ladder, and women who are in entrepreneurship really thriving, especially during this pandemic. We saw how women came up to start all type of business. It was like overwhelming, goosebumps. It's like really, really a great time. And there is this another side on the binocular. When you look through, it's like a bird eye view perspective. I see women who are so capable, so talented, so skillful, but unable to be in the workforce. That's like, that's the moment I feel like, why? So that's like a big question here that we have to put here. Why this is happening? If we are looking at this statistics, like to say LFPR, the labor force participation rate of women in Malaysia, we are third lowest in Asia. So we are behind even looking at Thailand, and we are also, lacking in terms of the labor force participation from women. So why this is happening is like we have so many factors, and that's what we want to know from our stellar speakers today. And if you look at this grand scheme of things, what's good for gender equality is also good for the economy and the society at large. But are we really walking our talk? And today is all about bringing out the best from the speakers to identify. We want the grassroots women to actually tap into their potentials. And to start with that, I want to ask this question. Without further delay, I want to jump right in to ask Anandi here. As we all know how this pandemic has affected the gender gap, especially the participation rate of labor force from women in the workforce, and it's a very sad scenario that we have here. And the pandemic has only made it worse. We have women who actually lost their jobs, and then they want to go to work, but then they can't do that due to the unpaid care work like childcare and elderly work, care and all that. So, Ms. Anandi, being in that hot seat as the general manager, how do you see this gap further widening, and what can we do about it?
I would say the pandemic has given us a great opportunity to really put our problems in a brighter platform. All this while we are talking about women handling workforce, women handling family, women handling everything around them, and still trying to excel in what they do. The pandemic sort of threw a curveball to all of us and say, hey, look, now we have these women who now have to do everything in front of everyone. And now all the problems have been highlighted even further. So we see more women struggling. All the issues like women asking for longer maternity leave, paternity leave. We are asking for flexible working hours. We are asking for more empathy around in workplace, more emotional intelligence from male bosses, understanding how women's mind work. And now we are right at the center of this issue. So I feel it is a great opportunity for women, for others to understand what we've been talking about all this while. Everybody now knows that how difficult it is to handle your household and also be a successful, probably a manager or a boss or a successful employee at work. So this, I would say, I would look at it as a great opportunity to put our problems further and also furthering our issues to a bigger, broader discussions. And I think this has given us an opportunity like this to discuss further and deeper about our issues. We don't really need to talk about what our issues anymore. Men know what our issues. They are staying at home. They cooked with us. They did TikTok videos with us. They know what we are going through. They understand how is it like to have 4 or 5 kids running, and when you have to do your Zoom meeting, you have to do your team meetings, your boss is calling you, your client is calling you, and then you've got your kid wanting food, and then you have to manage your kid who's doing online classes. So men went through this with us together. So I think this is a great opportunity really for us to further our agenda, to get more equality, to speak about our issues in greater platforms. So, and I think over the course of our discussion today, we would look into ways on how we can do this effectively.
Wonderful, Miss Anandi. I think that is the real power of women. And I think that's
Yeah.
about leadership. Look at the opportunity
True.
amidst chaos. Very good takeaway. Thank you. That's wonderful. So yeah, we have more brewing there when we talk about women working, multitasking. As it is, we're already multitasking by nature. It's like 75%. It's like, I think for centuries, women have been always doing this. And right now, the pandemic has made it like very clear. It put the spotlight on and like, hey, look at this. We have been doing this. We just got better at it. But we have another category of women, be it survivors of domestic violence or any other sorts of personal issues, mental health, and all that. These women who can't come forward, and if I may throw this question to Kushbu, how do you see these women who are vulnerable, we would say, to how do we encourage them to take charge of their life? It's easier said than done to say that, okay, let's look at the opportunity, let's do this and that. But how do we really do this, when it comes to practicality? So can you enlighten us on that?
Sure, why not? I mean, okay, so just a little bit of background. I'm not from Malaysia, but I've been staying in Malaysia for about 6 years. I'm born and brought up in India and have spent a large part of my life there. So I kind of feel I can feel how it feels like when it is kind of in a domestic violent environment, because I cannot give too much of background to this for all the sensitive issues. But indeed, we have lived in a society where we do have such experiences around there. And I know what kind of pressures or what kind of emotional stress both end goes through. Now, of course, we are talking about women in workforce, but I'm just going to put both in context here. I feel so now that because we are reflecting on the women's side of the story, I feel one of the strongest thing is when this happens for the first time and you are in that shock, let's just say, for example, it's okay to be in that shock. It's okay to just absorb it, but it's important to gather yourself and take actions in the first time itself. Don't let it happen again. And if at all you were unsuccessful in not taking the action for the first time, then just stop being guilty about it. And remember, there's a second opportunity coming your way if at all that ever happens. I mean, I don't want that to happen, but if it's happening, then that's your gateway.
Yeah, I think it's also about identifying that specific problem point. It's like being very aware and conscious about their surrounding as well.
Shalini, it's also about, it's about just letting it go. And that's not something it's about, okay, never mind, it happened and it was just something that you absorb in and you do not react to it. I think that mindset has to change, first of all. It's not okay.
Mindset.
It's not okay. So if you're not going all out, you want to be inside the four walls, but you want to let the person know that it's not okay. And the second time, you need to go all out if it has happened again, and you need to get help. Doesn't mean that you will. So when you want to go and get help also, there are different ways to go around it. You can go very gracefully and get help from the right people, not make like a public issue as well, and get your way out of it in the complete situation. I think it's also on the women's side of it, which I feel fairly are responsible for this being happening for ages. If we have taken action long back, I don't think men had the capability to go beyond and let it happen again and again. Of course, I'm so happy that we have Lingesh here, because it just doesn't feel like we are in a different group. We're growing together. Why is there so much of hoo-ha about celebrating Women's Day? It should not be. We don't celebrate Men's Day like this, right? At the end of the day, we're just doing it because probably we need that kind of attention, help, or we need that kind of boost. And there is no equality at this point of time. So I'm glad that Linge stepped up as part of this conversation, which means that we are getting there. We
Yeah.
are getting there, and that's the beauty of the situation. So just to crisply say, first is the mindset,
Mhm.
to prepare your mindset. Second is look for the person who can understand your problem. May not be your closest
Support
friend.
system.
But when they go out for the parents also, I have seen families where they go to the parents and the parents are like, it's okay, I have suffered it for years, it's okay, you can go. And that's
They sort of
not,
normalized all this.
yeah, it just become the norm. So do not go to the people who may not understand you as much as close they are. Maybe go for an external help, an NGO, a women association. Maybe they will put you into the light of the right mindset and right approach. So I think that those are the two primary ways to go with it.
I think, yeah, you're very right. It's like about identifying the problem and then find the coping mechanism and come out of your comfort zone. Ladies, please, just please break free from your comfort zone. Enough is enough. And we can't go on talking about this for another century, why women are not, in the equal place or whatsoever. It's like we have to take charge. And that's the theme is all about. And before I can go to Lingish, just give me a second to go back to Anandi. I want to just dig more deeper. It's like when we are saying that women, like, is there like a pressure for women to join the bandwagon of staying relevant in this like sort of a VUCA world? Like, are we putting too much pressure on women? And how do you see this, like to stay relevant in the current times for women in the
I
world?
give you a classic example. The Prime Minister of New Zealand, right? If you've seen, right after she's given birth, within a week or two, she's back in action with her baby. Now, many have applauded and say, wow, what an iron lady, what a great lady. But the background to that is the kind of burden it puts on other women at leadership. What if I'm a leader and I don't want to go back within a month? I want to take the 3 months' time. I want to be with my kid. I don't want to hold my kid when I'm speaking and addressing a nation. So many
Yes.
people say, oh, she cycled all the way, during her 9th month. I mean, like, yeah, wow, great. But seriously, that's really not the kind of empowerment that I really want to adhere to. I mean, I want to take space and I want people to understand my space. It's my space as a woman to give birth. If it's my job to give birth or it is my right to give birth, then I need that space to take on the role as a mother, to take on the role as a woman, take on the role as a wife. And I don't want to be put in a pressure situation where I have to do X, Y, Z multitasking just because someone else have done that. So I feel that generally the overachievers, women who are in senior leadership roles or in leadership roles or role models, always do amazing things, but also gives very unrealistic ideals to other women. So
Yes.
when you see another woman, you feel like, oh my God, in order for me to be called a success, I need to do A, B, C. I need to be married. I have to have a successful marriage. I have to have kids. My kids would all need to be accountant, engineers, and lawyers and doctors. At the same time, I have to be very successful at my work. I need to be seen as an iron lady. I can't be crying. All these are basically the benchmarks that other women have set for,
Oh yes.
the younger
Oh yes.
women. So I feel that generally, while we carry the burden of culture, we carry the burden of society, we carry the burden as women to uphold culture, to carry on the most important role in society as mothers, as leaders, as sisters, as wives. There is a different set of women who's putting a lot more burden on women to probably progress. So when someone who's not really strong enough to take on the role, they feel this is just too much a tall task for me to even try.
Yeah.
Imagine if somebody aspired to become a prime minister of Malaysia. Has
Yeah.
any prime minister, male prime minister, have carried a baby that they just had within a month and addressing the nation? Have you ever seen that? Why that doesn't happen? So why is it that women, even while performing your role as a mother, your role as a sister, and your wife, you still need to be really best at what other roles that you're playing? Why is it that we have this burden to do that? And I feel that's what we have to break the stereotype, the narrative that women have to be multitaskers.
And
I
then
think, yeah,
yeah. Thank you so much for
yeah.
bringing this up. It's like, thank you so much, really, because I'm speaking on behalf of most women. I just spoke to many women from different hierarchy about this topic. And during pandemic, trust me, through my advocacy works, I have been seeing young executives suffering. I can't even explain how they are suffering. Their mental health is at stake. Being tortured by their senior women leaders. This is a very
True.
sad scenario. And
True.
I rarely hear any women leader say what you just said. It's okay to take your space and grow at your own pace. So this is
we
something.
set we set very high standards for
Yeah.
our success for the
Yes.
same parameters that would apply for men. Probably it will be 50%. Do we call a CEO a superman? No, but when we see a female CEO, super lady, why is that? Why can't she just be a normal lady and a CEO? That's it. You don't even have to call a lady CEO. She's just a CEO. That's it. You don't
Yes.
have to romanticize the whole notion of a lady being a CEO, because let just talk about it in a natural term. That let us address it is something that's natural. The more and more we're going to put in all this, romanticized notion for this, I think it becomes tougher. And we are
Yes.
setting, I think, unideal parameters for women to be successful.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. I really like what you said because this is what more. I think we need to clone more of you, the kind of leaders like you. Really, it's like I'm talking from my painful experience as well. It's
Because
like
I can't cook for nuts. Yeah, I cannot cook. So I may be seen as a very successful person, but I'm really bad at the home front, the domestic front. So for me, that is not really a negative for me. I'm good at something. I may not be good at everything, but I don't want people to see me as someone who's successful only if I'm successful at everything that I do. I can fail and I can still be someone that other person may look at me as a role
yeah.
model.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think that's where we're bringing the superwoman syndrome, and then everybody's
Yes.
cracking their head how to, stay relevant at these times, and that's putting more pressure to women as it is. We already we have so much to take care of, juggle between work and family and education and all that.
True,
Thank you so
true,
much.
true.
So moving on to our gentleman here, Mr. Lingesh. So please, if you could enlighten us, what I'm not going to ask this cliche question, but then we have to come from there. What made you uh, push these women to become the best versions of themselves, and where do you see normalizing these gender norms at workplace?
First of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And I saw your poster, and there was like so many women, and there was like about 3 men, and I have my female friends asking me, Lingesh, what are you doing there? I said, well, I'm just there to share.
We should
I
normalize
want to
that.
touch on, yeah. So I want to touch on what Anandi shared earlier. Yeah? This whole glorification of the concept of Superwoman, Wonder Woman. Just be clear, this is a self-imposed pressure, right?
Yeah, I
Yes.
agree.
It's
Yes.
self-imposed. Yeah, nobody's expecting this. I've led multiple teams across different countries, and I still do. I've got a lot of female employees. I've reported to 4 lady bosses in the last 6 years, and they all come from 4 different countries. I've got about 6 to 8 direct reportees from different countries. And it's not about whether you're male or a female, right? My role as a leader is to create a platform or an equal playing field. That's it. All right. I create an equal playing field where it is not gender biased. But in terms of skills, in terms of competence, in terms of your capabilities, it is driven by the individual. It doesn't matter if you're a male or you're a female. All right.
Correct.
But the role of a male leader doesn't matter if it's in a corporate organization, it's a social organization. My role is to create that equal playing field. I give you that equal playing field, but it is you who needs to run the race, and it is you who needs to train, and it's you who needs to be the best at what you do. Right?
I think,
But
Lingesh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Very nice. Well
so
said.
that's exactly my mindset. So and when I look at Malaysia, there's one alarming statistic. I think I got this statistic right. I was doing this about 2 years back. Malaysia has one of the highest rate of unemployment among female, and this category of female are actually one of the highest educated as well. All right. So women with at least a degree or a diploma actually make up to the highest number of unemployed. And this is not because of the design of the workforce, but I think it's more of a cultural perspective. All right.
Yeah.
I think because women tend to, okay, I have a baby, I need to stay back.
Yeah.
So these are some of the challenges that women face that somehow men I can be super good
Cannot
at my job.
relate.
Yeah, exactly. I can be super good at my job, but I can't do what you are doing. I will struggle. All right, it may take maybe another century for men to evolve and become excellent homemakers, but I cannot compete. All right. So, and also what I would like to advocate is the evolution of change between male and female, the roles of male and female. Yeah. For centuries, male have been that leading role in business, in family, and so on. And in the last maybe 50 years, the acceleration of women empowerment has been amazing. So there's been a super speed acceleration in women coming in leadership roles. But the change that men had to encounter, men did not learn. So we also are a victim where we did not go through that change process to learn that now women are equal. Women are even better in a lot of things, yeah? I cannot deny this. And now I'm not saying this because I'm in a women forum, but women are better in doing a lot of things, especially multitasking. I cannot work and take care of the child at the same time. No way. So this is my general thought. And if men do not evolve their thought process, men do not come to terms that, times have changed and I continue to self-proclaim my supremacy, I'm going to have challenges.
Male privilege, we call it. Male privilege.
Yes, exactly.
Just catch up.
So eventually, men are at risk.
That's coming from a man himself, putting his perspective out.
But did you also see how he's
being very
put
authentic
himself in a
about it.
victim situation?
Yeah. I think there's like some kind of ego in the air, sort of like, when we see women as equals, but we don't sense that at all, when you are saying it. I think this is an ideal workplace every woman wants to work at. It's like, it's like, why? It's like when you are late, then there is this question, oh, did you just drop your child to the school? It's like every single thing, like we are being penalized just for being women. We are just human, but then we are penalized at every section. That's like really making us question, and that's where this super women syndrome comes along, where we feel like we have to do more and more and still not enough, and we have to always brand ourselves, put ourselves up there. This is the kind of emotions that gets triggered when I talk to women. So that's why this is what they say. So talking about this again, but sadly or realistically, we would say that women's participation in the workforce will increase the GDP growth by 26.2%. This is what the statistic shows. That translates to about 9 billion ringgit. But can Kush, can you enlighten us how important, how paramount this financial independence for women is, whether they work on their own or they go back to the corporate world? Can you please enlighten us on this, especially for the grassroots women?
I think what's the idea of having financial independence? I mean, if you look at it, the core concept here is that indeed making sure that you do not depend on your father, your husband, or your brother. And I'm using male because in most of the situation, that's our mental situation. Culturally, we've been thinking like, okay, it's the male dependency that happens, and you don't want that ever in your life. If you want to get a facial done, grab a Louis LV, or indeed just buy a pastry, all of it has to be your decision and not dependent on someone's approval. That's the whole concept of financial independence, right? And at this point of time, when we as individuals, I'm saying even a male, if he has to ask a person for permission to get something that he or she wants in life, it makes them feel helpless. It makes them it makes them feel like they don't have the confidence to take their own decisions in life. And at the end of the day, in those little things, the small little things in life that happens, which makes them dependent on someone else, this reflects on bigger decisions of life. Automatically, because you lose your capability to pull yourself up for little things in life, which helps you become more prepared for bigger decisions in life, where you need to go out, run your own company, start your own company, as simple as bakery from home, or as big as starting a bakery shop at Bukit Bintang. I mean, whatever it is, they only have that courage when they are able to pull off these small things by themselves without depending on anyone. And how do they make it possible? I think one of the most important thing is to be able to realize that they deserve it. They really deserve to be able to go all out and make sure that they can make that kind of a money. I just want to reflect everything that Lingesh and Amity just mentioned. Aniti just mentioned. The fact is that the superwoman syndrome, right? There is a Superman syndrome also. No, because why will I say
they have to provide and control?
Exactly, there is, right? I'm saying why is there even a comparison? Every women health or person's health is different. Some people can physically pull off more, some people can mentally pull off more. And every time, like you brought in the from New Zealand, you brought in a beautiful story, and I've seen her photographs and I've read her story. Very inspiring. Indeed, like okay, I want to do it. It makes that I want to do it feel. But at the same time, aren't we trying to think ourselves and put into our own mind the FOMO of missing out, the fear of missing out, the fear of not being the best, the fear of being told that, oh, you're not good at this. We as women sometimes try to put ourselves in a position which is we have to be best at everything.
Oh yeah.
We have to, I mean, we can't be said that, okay, okay, you did not do that well. And I felt so awesome that Aniti went forward and said, I'm very good with the work side of it. I'm not too cool with the domestic side. It needs full courage, confidence, and belief in oneself that I can handle something amazingly well. And something, if I don't, I'm cool with it. So if you come and I cook something which is not tasting well, I can take it. And I would want the women to have that courage to be able to take that. It's not criticism. So I'm just saying it's not criticism. It's a feedback of your action that you're getting it. Have the capability to absorb it and say, yeah, that's not my ground. I mean, in my ground, I play like a leader. But let's say this, I'm learning. I've seen women who somehow gets into the hustle of being competitive and being best at everything.
Yes.
Just because someone else is good. There's a competitiveness always there. Why? Why is there this competitiveness? If one person is amazing at cooking Assam lasak and one person in biryani, you don't have to just go and be better at that. Just focus on biryani, and I'm telling you, you will
become damn biryani.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so whenever I see this, I feel that this syndrome has been created by us. It has not been created by men. It has been done.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my take on what Lingesh and Aniti mentioned there.
Women out there, are you really listening here? It's like, okay, I think what I want to re-paraphrase from what Kush has said, please change your mindset, center your thoughts. And like what Vatsala and Rosalind always used to advocate for, earn your own dime, even if it's 10 ringgit. And that's why they have this hashtag 10 ringgit campaign. It's like, it feels so liberating to even buy your own meal. It can be as simple as that, your own mascara, your own lipstick. Don't expect people to do things for you. It makes you feel handicapped. What's the point, isn't it? So it's like, when we talk to women, yeah.
Just very quickly adding in, very quickly, and I want to mention this to all the women or everybody who's listening out here. Financial independence doesn't mean big financial purchases in life. It doesn't mean you go and buy BMW and your property, or you go and invest in heavy jewelries or all of this. No. Financial independence, I feel like financial independence for me is if I go to the best pastry shop and I can pick any pastry I want, irrespective of the price tag. And I don't even look at that, and I just purchase it and walk it out. That is financial independence. Those decisions in life which we take every single moment, and if we are able to take that without thinking of the price tag, is financial independence.
Brilliantly put. I think for that, they have to really break free from this thought, because when we talk to some women, when they do business, the one thing that, for example, when we do like digital marketing, we ask them to register on SSM and all that. And then when it comes to these bank issues, right, they will say that my husband holds my bank card. That will be like, what? Why does he hold your bank card? It's like, oh no, he puts the money in and then I have to take from there. He allows me to. I don't know why this thing that we always have that my husband, I will ask my husband first. I want to know whether he lets me to do this first. Let me ask my husband and mother-in-law and sister-in-law and everybody in the world whether they will allow me. why are we in seek of validation all the time? This has something where we have to really, really break free. So when
I think
talking about
validation is a very sweet word. Let's call permission. You're being
yes,
very. I
permission.
mean, why
Don't
do
seek
we?
approval. Do
Yeah.
not
I
seek
think
approval.
I think, Salini, the validation is also why do we need to validate the value that we bring into a domestic front? Many discussions have been happening about financial independence. Women see it as a channel to basically stamp their feet and say, "Look, I have arrived. Look, I am a woman. I am an individual." Why do we have to tag it with financial independence? As long as you understand the value that you bring to the space that you're operating, doesn't matter whether it's at work or whether it's at home, I think you solve that. You don't really need a financial independence to really talk about your value. I see so many discussions going, should women be compensated for the amount of work that they're putting in raising a family, raising a kid? Well, if you don't really understand the value that you bring into that role and you accept it and you own it, I think you don't really need financial. Yes, financial independence is one way, but you don't really need that. We need to look at really take a step back and see what are we contributing to our roles, to our home, to the people around us, to our children. And if you validate those efforts, you are a big step ahead. And then adding on with financial independence, then you're moving forward. Because I've never seen money as really something that would give you everything, because the more and more we give financial independence, you're validating the thought that the person who has the most money brings more value. So we
Yeah.
live in a capitalist society. So it doesn't mean that when you bring the most amount of money or when you're the richest, whatever you say goes. You are the most powerful. It's not. It's the value that you bring. Maybe money is not the value that you bring, but you bring some other value that is not tangible. So how do we substantiate? How do we validate? How do we document our value? Like when we go for appraisal in the office, right? How do we substantiate what we are doing in the office? We come up,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I have done, this is the value that I bring, this is what I have, the outcome that I've given based on the effort that I've put. You do that, right? So I think women need to stop, take every, if you need to do it like self-affirmation, do it every month, do it every year. What is the value that you have brought forward to the family? And I think it's very important for us to keep repeating that. And if others are not listening, say it. What is the value that you're bringing? Take yourself out of the situation for a day. Leave the kids with the husband too, so the husband realizes what's the value that you bring to the family. So your mother-in-law realizes, your mother realizes, your dad realizes. You need to understand how can you validate yourself first, and it doesn't mean it's just with money. Because
In
if
the
we are
right
going
lines.
in that same direction of money, then
Mm, mm, mm.
ultimately you're saying man is more powerful, because in most household they bring the money.
Yes, yes, totally.
So I think it is
That's
really
a very
validating your
unique.
role as a woman.
That's a very unique perspective that every women who are actually facing this trouble at home right now, especially during the pandemic, there's this question, a popular question among women who are being, mentally tortured by family members. They ask like, you are sitting at home. What are you doing?
Mm,
So this is
mm.
the time, dear ladies, if you're watching this, please go and tell your siblings or other women or husbands, men who are watching this. Please do know that they bring a lot more value than
A lot of
just
value.
money. Like
Yeah.
75% of the global population, women are, we for centuries women have been doing all this unpaid care work. They don't even
Yeah.
demand for anything. But then
Correct.
are we like looking at the wrong angle by saying, oh, in the name of love you do everything, chuck everything, tai chi everything to women, and then that's where all the other problems are actually rooting up. So I think that's a very good perspective. And
Uh,
Mr. Lingesh, you want to say
yeah, I want to
something?
say something. My ideas may totally go against and make me a very unpopular guy in this discussion. Yeah?
You're already popular, don't worry.
Oh, yeah. No, I said unpopular because I'm going to
Let's
go
make him
against the
unpopular.
trend
Come
that
on.
we are discussing. And I want to be I want to be myself, and I'm not going to go with that flow just because what y'all are saying. But I also want to step back. Take a step
Sure,
back.
sure.
Yeah, who sets that rule? Who sets that rule in that household that the lady or the wife or the mother needs to do this, right? So we take a step back. It's all about the upbringing as well. How did the parents educate their daughter? All right.
Mm,
So was the daughter educated to be an empowered woman? All right. So Anandi, Kushbu, yourself, it also reflects on upbringing. So just imagine you were brought up in a household where the mother and the father say that, you need to be in the kitchen, you need to do this. And the moment they get married, we don't expect them to change. So change has to come at the very beginning itself. So the parents of today play a very critical role in how they bring up their daughters. Yeah. So if you tell your daughter, okay, this is the role you need to play, you need to take care of the kids and everything. And then 30 years later, when we run a conference, they are listening that, oh, you need to be an empowered lady. The superwoman doesn't change, right?
Yes.
And my question to all those ladies who are facing these challenges today, so my wife could be listening as well and could have this conversation with me later. But who, and as you said, it's not also about money, but then when you look at it as well, is it the man that pays the mortgage, right? Is it the man that makes sure that the household remains financially independent? Not the individual, but for the household to remain independent, what percentage of contribution perhaps the man brings? Yeah, I'm not taking away the value at all. So who needs to come up? Who needs to stand up and talk about value? It is that wife. It is that mother. All right. So women empowerment is not only about going there, and as the New Zealand Prime Minister, I don't want to be the New Zealand Prime Minister. I don't want to carry the baby. If you want to do that, it's good. Okay, nice, good for you. Good. But I don't want to be there. So what I feel women should do is women should stop benchmarking themselves against each other. Right? You compete and you benchmark against yourself. You benchmark against your family. And what values that you think you should, it must be a conversation in the household, yeah?
Right.
So if you have the conversation, your husband is still not coming on board, you're having issues, then you perhaps seek help. But if you don't have the conversation, your husband is totally don't understand. Most husbands don't understand why the wife is unhappy. Let's get that straight.
Let's not go into that discussion at all. That's a black hole.
But I have a wonderful perspective to this. I really have this perspective. Now, I have seen a household where my mom and dad are also working and my in-laws are also working and I'm also working. So I'm going to give an example here. Let's just say the man of the family goes in the kitchen and he's helping with utensil cleaning. Okay. And of course, he's not trained to do that. Let's just understand. That's how the culture has been. And Lingesh is saying that. Yeah. But because he wants to help his wife, he's going in the kitchen and making an effort. How many times, be candid, all the women who's listening, has been reactive to the situation. Hey, come on, man, you cannot clean. Just get out of the kitchen. I can do it myself. Are you guilty of doing this? If you have done, then I would say you are making the first mistake there itself. Yes. You yourself have decided and put in the designation of the women is supposed to do this and they're good at this and men are not good at this. So if they're not good, if you will not be appreciative, why will someone do anything? Forget about even men and women.
And, many audience here also, they are agreeing to this. Like what you're saying now, it's like how we have been conditioned for generations. Exactly. That's what the audience are resonating with. It's like
it's a century-old conditioning, man. Yes. Really, it's a conditioning situation.
They guilt trip us like that.
Exactly. And I've seen so many females in my home around has been like, oh, come on, this is not your job. It's not how it should be. And if they are doing mistake, let them do the mistake. Let them make the kitchen mess. It's okay. They would do first, second, third, fourth, and then it will be absolutely okay. We have shared responsibilities at our home, and it was not the same from the day one. But making sure that the person feels comfortable in this space. Okay, if he's making a curry, let's just understand he's trying his effort to help you, not anything else. So it's a both-way thing. And especially just reflecting, we from our value point of view, I think Anati brought in very well that it's about realizing our own value, which is so core. And once we realize it, we must know whether we're doing well at it itself. But indeed, Anati, just to reflect on the financial side of it, when I don't think there is any comparison. I really do not think any comparison, because when it comes to value, it's about you who decides whether you are able to bring up the kids well or not. Financial independence is about having a backup, in life, making sure that any point of time when your value is not getting well addressed, Are you standing alone in this without any help? So being an entrepreneur, all I can say that one needs to run the breads and the butters and the electricity bills as well. It's important. And if you're alone, your fight becomes more difficult if you do not learn on this.
Yes, totally. Yeah,
So
that's where we need the support.
yeah, so I'm 100% on Anati's point that do not let financial comparison come with your value. Your value comes are your kids growing up well? Are you doing everything well? And that's perfectly all right. But at the same time, also realize that you never know at what point of time in life you would need some things to support you yourself.
True.
I think in the whole idea of what we are speaking here, what I realize is that we need the whole shift in the mindset of how we have been seeing things and how we have been defining certain terms that the analogies that we have put through, and to reduce some pressure from women. I think, can we take some questions from our listeners, our audience, if they have something to ask the speakers, because I lost track of the time. We only have like 10 minutes and the topic is just brewing. It's so exciting. So if we can take some questions from our audience. So keep that coming. It's like some of them are really agreeing to what we are saying. They resonate so well with what all of us are saying here. And in the meantime, if I can just slot in my question here to Anandi, to say that now that we are in this new norm, right? So how are we going to look at this workforce, women in the workforce, to encourage more participation from them? How are the policy making or the decisions are going about in terms of making this flexi working a new norm? Because now that we are very much used to it, those days we have complaints that women are at home doing unpaid care work, they can't work and all that. Now that we are in this new norm, how are the policies going to support women in the workforce?
I think it has created a discussion momentum all around the government sector, private sectors, even at home, like what I said earlier. It has created a huge push to the momentum of discussing flexible working hours, working from home arrangements, addressing the need for women and her space at workspace. I think this has sort of propelled us further to have this discussion. Definitely, we will not see major policy changes overnight. We've been talking about a 3-month maternity leave for years now, and we've changed ministers, but nothing has happened. Yeah. So for private sectors, I meant. So definitely, we cannot be happy that we're going to make major policy changes. But I think it's good to understand there are sporadic changes that's happening in a lot of MNCs. A lot of, I think Shell is a great example. There's a lot of organizations are paying very close attention to these issues. So I think when sporadic changes are happening, eventually we will be creating a very big movement. I think that's all what our discussion is about. We are creating a lot of small little discussions everywhere, so that eventually we are creating a lot of momentum in that direction. Yes, exactly. I think that's what we need to be doing. We cannot stop talking. We need to discuss this with everybody. And where women are concerned, I think even men in Lingesh's discussion earlier, is that wherever we can, we be the change makers, we communicate this change, and we keep on talking about this, and that should not stop. I think when we keep making noise, something will change, and that's what we need to be looking at. And if you are an agent of change, you are in a position of power to make those changes, make it for the benefit, not just for the women, for the men as well, who are house husbands, who are taking care of their kids and who need to drop their kids, pick up their kids, who are cooking at home. So it's not just for women, it is for giving space for men as well to carry out domestic chores. So it is actually, I would say, it's an empowerment of working force itself as a whole, not just women, but for men as well. So I think we are going in the right direction. Keep talking, guys, keep talking.
Beautifully said. Very well said. Really.
Just to add on that, I think the talk also needs to be followed up with action, definitely. And we all talk about empowerment. Talk about empowerment. So for me, this empowerment of women, of course, there needs to be help. But there are two angles to look at this. The first one is to empower the enablement, the tools, the platforms, the playing field. Create that playing field that is equal. All right? That is not there now. or even if it's there, it's not good enough. So no matter how empowered a woman is, you are then expecting the women to run 100 meters, but the male start in few yards in front, right? So that needs to be eradicated, all right? And then the issue of self-empowerment is very, very important. You can do everything, but if that woman is not willing to be self-empowering, then all this will fail, yeah? So that individual themselves need to take that self-empowerment, because if no matter what you do, if they're not self-empowering, nobody can do anything.
Right on point. Yes.
Hang on there.
Yes, ended it so well, beautifully said it. I think that's what we all are being saying, like being in the advocacy line. That's what we say. No matter how much we can give, you have to swallow the pill. You have to really reflect on yourself. You have to really take charge. It's like we can't, affirm that enough. So please, ladies, whoever watching this, if you have any questions, you can ask us. And we have been seeing all these wonderful comments by women, some men. It's like they are saying how important this topic is. So ladies out there, if we want to take some golden, I would say, wisdom word from these three brilliant speakers, can I start with Kushbu? Can you just give a piece of golden advice for women out there watching this? How do they take charge?
I think I would actually love to first add to what Lingesh just said. He said two things, right? I just want to add one more, if that's okay. I feel go and seek out for people and for help. Do not hesitate. Women are empowering one another. Men are championing them and supporting it. We can see it right through this session as well. So indeed, do not be hesitant to call up a friend or anybody and seek out for advice, for mentorship, for help, and express yourself all out. Do not have to be in your cocoon and try to fight your own battles alone, because all of us are going through something in life.
Asking for help is strength. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that would be my add to what Lingesh said in terms of the action point of view. And yes, coming back, Shalini, to your question, which you mentioned, that what could be one thing that I can say? I would just say that if you believe in yourself, you don't need anything except the power within you to be able to go all out and take the first step, just the first step. After that, you will be surprised by how many people will come to support and indeed stand by you.
That's so true. So true. It's just like they say, you just have to pick up go behind the wheels and just start driving. You see the 200 meters of the brightness. You just keep driving. Yes. So brilliantly, that's one of my favorite things, because I resonate with that so well. Even if from the place I didn't know why I was going, but I took the first step. So that's all matters. Yes. And can we
just one last thing as I'm wrapping it up. It's okay to live with failures rather than with regrets.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's more painful to live with regrets. So that's all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Krish. Thank you so much. That's like really empowering and inspiring to me. Can we hear from Mr. Lingesh one golden advice you would throw for us? Sprinkle.
Women are much better at multitasking. They can manage multiple challenges at the same time. That's your strength. Leverage on that and build on that.
Wow. We don't want always to be multitasking. We want to chill also.
Yeah, but then if you want to remain competitive, we need to find a competitive edge. Yeah? So this is your competitive edge. And this is where you're not beating men. If you want to go and compete with men at their game, it's not going to happen. You play your game.
Yes. True. Yeah. Be the best version of ourselves, right? Yeah. Perfectly said. And can we hear from Anandi, your golden advice for women?
I wouldn't say a golden advice. Don't dish out advice when it's not necessary. There's just too much of advice around. But one of the things that I've really always been doing from young is always question the narrative. I'm a bit of a rebel from school to university. Lingesh, we were from the same university. Wow. I'm a bit of a rebel. I always question the narrative, always question the status quo. And I think when you do that, you break stereotype. We need to be, we're talking about breaking going beyond ourselves, breaking all the cultural conditioning that has been happening for centuries. We cannot do that if we don't question it. So whenever you are being thrown into a situation where you have the stereotypes talking, when you have the status quo talking, when you say this is what we've been doing for years, question that. And when you question it, you may be wrong, but at least you give an opportunity for yourself to learn and people around you to learn as well. So it is always not dumb to ask questions. It's dumber not to ask questions. So whenever you are having that thought, is this the right thing? Question it. The narrative always. It doesn't matter in matters related to women, in politics, in a relationship, in women-centric issues. Question the narrative. Who puts it there? Question it, and why they put it there. So I don't like it. What can I do about it? I'm sure I can do something about it. So I think when you go in that direction, always be curious to learn and question it. You will definitely find a breakthrough somewhere that would be positive to you and the people around you.
Wow. Wow, so much power, fire, everything here. It's like amazing, yes. So it's like, dear ladies, audience who are watching this, these are I think it's wisdom words. A lot of wisdom here. If you have paid attention, it's like you can read between the lines. We have so much going on in lives, but I think in the grand scheme of things, what is more important is to find the you in you. Just find you. Where are you? So just pick yourselves up and grab this opportunity to go ahead with your lives. And we wish you all the best in taking charge. Be the woman power you are, not to compete with anybody, but to be the best version of yourself. And thank you so much, dear speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Amazing day.
Amazing.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.